This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone. No, this is not the Masai Mara. This is Djuma Game Reserve. We have a very small population of wildebeest on our own, and I mean very small. And they're slowly congregating off in the thicket here. So it's that time of day, everyone. Jump on board, get ready. It's time for your live safari through the African bush. Hello, we have one standing lovely and still for us. A little scratch of the back leg there. This is our opening animal of today. It's a very pleasant day here in Djuma. It's 23 degrees Celsius and 73 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's lovely and pleasant. My name is Lauren. I do have BK on camera today, and we've just checked the hyena dens, my first port of call, and sadly, no one is there. It was apparently active this morning, but I was not out this morning. So they were eating something, shall I say. I'm just not sure what. So before I forget, this is your live safari, which means you can talk to us, you can interact with us. So send in all your lovely comments and questions using the hashtag safari. No, that's wrong. Let me start again. Don't know where that came from. Hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter, at FC on the YouTube chat stream, or if you're a kid, please do send in your questions via email, and it's kidquestions@wildearth.tv. So we look forward to hearing from you. And believe it or not, this is one of the youngsters that was born not quite a year ago. We found all the wildebeest with their calves on quarantine in December. Just before the Christmas period, we managed to stumble upon, well, I think it was 6 to start with, gorgeous little calves. And you can see how big they are already, and they're not even 1 year old. So we're going to bumble and see what we can find.
Welcome to And Beyond Gala, where we've been watching these 2 little bee eaters just cleaning and preening themselves for the last 5 minutes or so, which is quite unusual. Usually they're quite hard to get on camera, but they've been playing along. There they go. My name is Marna, and behind the camera we've got Gert. So while we were watching these little bee eaters, we actually saw that there were a few elephants coming in the back as well. Quite a big herd. They just walked past. I think you can still see one in the distance. There we go. There's still one in the background. Just turning. I think that might be the last one. Disappearing into the thicket there. Really happy those bee eaters stuck around though. Alright, for this afternoon we're going to see if we can maybe find or head back to that leopard that we were with this morning, and maybe we get lucky with the cubs.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's another beautiful day here at Tswalu. My name is Moritz, as always. If you struggle to pronounce my name, I'm Mo. But we're back with this female lion that we had this morning. We want to see if when she gets active, to see if she's possibly going to link up with a pride or take us back to where she's hiding her cubs. Like we mentioned this morning, we haven't seen her with her cubs yet. We haven't seen her cubs at all. So it's quite exciting for us to found her this morning, especially by herself. And then so we're hoping that it will be a successful afternoon. I mean, every afternoon spent with the lion is always successful, but there's a little bit of excitement or anticipation as far as when she's going to start moving, which direction she's going to go to and what she's going to show us. But it's also a lovely, lovely day. We had a couple of drops just before you guys came to us. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to rain anytime soon, but there is definitely some cloud cover coming in, so maybe tonight after drive or so we might get lucky and get a few drops of rain. Well, hopefully more than a few though. But yeah, just lazy. Yeah, guys, I'm also holding thumbs for that. To see some lion cubs would be epic. You can see now again those suckle marks that we were talking about this morning. They are drying out quite a bit now, so they're fading a little bit, but I mean, it's not going to disappear in a day's time, so you're not going to, it's not like you can say, okay, no, the cubs haven't drank for a day, so she doesn't have marks. It will remain there as long as she's got cubs that's busy drinking.
Jumbo, and hello everybody. And yes, those cubs should come out, or the young ones of any animals are good to watch, as I'm enjoying seeing young ones here of the spur-winged lapwing. These are the chicks of the spur-winged lapwing. I'm saying I'm a little bit lucky because my young one is out, and yeah, I have been following these chicks for quite some time now, and casting the final control says they have grown so much because just the other day they looked very small. I think they answered there in affirmative. They went choo. That's the mother there, and she has two cubs, and that could be another alder that came in, and the mother was like, "Get out! We do not want you here." I mean, there are some lapwings that I've known to be very territorial among all the lapwings I know. And a very good afternoon, everyone. My name is David, and on camera with me is the only Bungay. How are you, Bungay? Bungay also loves these chicks, and we have agreed that these chicks, once they grow, one will be his and the other one will be mine. A good joke. Well, we are live, and should you have any questions, please don't be shy, send them through. And as usual, you can tweet #WorldEarth. And for the children, you can email us kidsquestions@worldearth.tv. As I said earlier, it's a spur-winged lapwings, and this mother got two chicks, and she has done a tremendous good job. They were very small the other day, and I almost confused them with a kittlitz plover, small like that size. But you can see she doesn't have the bars on the neck. You can see the characteristic black of lapwing, like the blacksmith lapwing, but obviously the spur-winged, and they have grown very quickly. And the reason for me to think they have grown quickly is because of how they feed quickly and a lot. My guess is she's eating lots of aquatic insects in that part of water. And wonderful to see it on a very warm afternoon of the Marsimar here of about 26 degrees and 79 degrees Fahrenheit. It's drizzling a bit, but hopefully we are going to remain in business and show you more stuff.
Well, David, I even got to see you today because a friend of mine was across the river and sent me a photo while you were out and about waiting for a crossing. But we've got, well, I suppose we've got animals that are crossing, but they're not crossing a river, they're just crossing a road. and bundling up towards one another because they're a bit nervous this afternoon. Not sure why they're so nervous just yet. My name is, and on camera with me today is Odie, and a little bit in the hot seat too, so keep a lookout for that. But we are on Pridelands, part of Eco Training. Eco Training is literally just over ahead, but we'll see what's happening with the impala, which have now, of course, disappeared. This is great stuff, classic animals. So what drew our attention, apologies, to the impala is the fact that they were alarming. Well, they've been alarming for the last few minutes now, but I'm not sure at what. There's no tracks, there's not really much evidence of anything being around here. So we're just going to do a couple of little loops and laps and probably head towards Ndlovu Dam, which is just a few hundred meters to the east of us. As this morning, you may remember we were talking about cheetah, and there has been a sighting of a female cheetah and a cub quite late yesterday afternoon, and we had her tracks coming in this direction. So the sun is finally out, but it has been quite overcast, cloudy and cool for most of the day, which means she probably would have been on the move.
Welcome back to Ngala. We've moved a little bit further forward and got another view of these elephants, but now they have moved behind these bushes again. What's interesting about this female that you can see on screen now, that you just see on screen, is that she actually doesn't have any tusks. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite difficult through these trees at the moment. But yeah, sometimes elephants are just born without tusks. The majority of the herd has tusks. All of them just feeding on the pretty much dead grass around here and breaking off branches, stripping the bark. Looks like that one's actually using its foot, trying to break that branch off. Quite a difficult view, but I mean, even for such a big animal, you can see how well they can actually blend in this environment. It really is amazing how they disappear. They blend in so well. Oh, there's a little calf behind that one.
We're just admiring this kudu bull here, who's browsing on all the vegetation around. But the reason I actually stopped here, I wanted to admire him because he's very, very handsome. But I also wanted to admire the knobthorn. Now, I'm sure you all know the knobthorns are in their flowering season, which coincides with spring. And it's a very, very short flowering season. It doesn't last long. Normally, by the full onset of summer, the flowers are gone. And I've got some here that I found on the ground in the car park. Don't worry, I haven't been picking flowers. And I just wanted to show you them nice and close. You can see these ones have died. But right here, you've got the gorgeous knobthorn flowers. And the main pollinators of the knobthorn trees are actually giraffes. A giraffe's diet comprises of 40% knobthorn flowers. And this is, well, knobthorn actually throughout the year. And the flowers during this really short flowering season make up a quarter of their intake. And that's incredible. Sometimes the trees take on an hourglass shape, if you like. It's bulbous at the top, and then it comes in as if it almost has a waist and then goes out again, and that's from the pressure, the browsing pressure from giraffes. And if you take this, such a wonderful smell. I let BK smell it earlier. It's Really, really lovely. This is not as strong because it's been lying on the ground, but up there, when we look back at this tree, they will be smelling so strongly. And it's just such a wonderful smell. It really is a smell of spring for me. And the fact that the giraffe is the mammal pollinator is really unique. Pollination is a fascinating topic, but it normally sort of, well, relates to insects or birds, bees, bats. They are the species that you think of when you think of pollination, not necessarily giraffes. But the knobthorn actually has ways of protecting themselves against the giraffe, because you can't allow all the giraffes in the area to eat every single flower. So what they actually do is they produce sterile flowers. So not all of them will be reproductive, which means it's not as energetically costly to produce. So the giraffes will eat some reproductive flowers, but they'll also eat some sterile flowers. And that's one way that the knobthorn sort of dilutes the damage that is caused by a giraffe on the tree, which is really fascinating. And the flowering season is short. And that's another way, another method to combat too much, well, nibbling from a giraffe. Anushka, you're asking, what does it smell like? I need to have another sniff. BK, can you also sniff and help me out here? Have a good sniff. It's perfumey, it's very flowery scented. That wasn't a good description because it's a flower, but it smells like you've just walked into a garden of flowers. What do you think, BK? Like perfume, a gorgeous, gorgeous perfume. It's really, really lovely. And when you go through an area where all the knobthorns are flowering, you can smell it. And you can see, actually, on my hand here, you just look at my fingertips, BK. That's where the pollen is. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. You can see all the pollen is rubbed off on my fingertips. My shiny, oh no, you're all going to get my fingerprint now. I hope none of you tried to pretend to be me and get all my secrets. But yes, this is what happens when the giraffe eats it, basically. All the pollen... You can all unlock my iPhone. Oh no, I'm in big trouble. So the giraffe's mouth will become dusted with the pollen, just like my hands have. And when it goes to visit the next tree, it then deposits that pollen. And that's how the pollination works. And knobthorns is absolutely fascinating. Gorgeous trees. Well, actually, they're not gorgeous all the time, I have to say. I only find them gorgeous when they're flowering. Yes, many of you are saying it looks like glitter. It does. It's probably glinting in my sun cream. But I just think the giraffe knobthorn pollination is just really, really incredible. It's a fascinating thing to witness in nature. And insect pollinators all sorts of have the advantage of being able to fly. Giraffes can't fly. Well, that I know of anyway. But they do walk great distances. They can cover about 16 kilometers per day. And they visit many different knobthorns per hour. So I'm going to wash all this pollen off my hands and then we'll continue bumbling on.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my vehicle. Hello, my name is Steve, joined by Theo on camera, and very excited to have you with us. Now, we tried to find Shadulu from this morning. She was left this morning with a very full belly, but we can't find her. So, might go back in that area later to see if she makes her way out to go and drink. But if anything, she's probably very, very flat in the grass. So we couldn't find her. Anyway, that happens. She's probably not going to do too much for the next little while. But we are going to go check Treehouse Dam to see if she's gone and had something to drink. Ian, you want to know what's the longest time a flower can bloom? I really have no idea. So many different flowers in the world. Some flowers come out and they're very short-lived. Baobab, for example, they come out and pollinated by bats, and it's one evening or maybe two, and then they're gone. Very, very short. There's some flowers out there that only open themselves up for like a couple of seconds, and then once that has happened, it's done, over. So I know impala lilies that we find in and around, they stay in flower for quite some time. It all depends, I suppose, on the availability of nectar, on the pollination potential, on the pollinating agent. I mean, cones, on pine cones, are open for a very long time. They are essentially a flower, old school flower. Grass inflorescence are sort of open and blooming for quite a few months as they get wind pollinated. These knobthorn flowers have been out already for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. They're already flowering when I arrived, weren't they? They were. They're arriving, yeah, it's more than a month the knobthorns have been flowering. So it all depends on the season, on the species, and what the pollinating agent is, I suppose. I mean, roses stay in bloom for quite some time. Don't have many naturally occurring roses this side. Okay, well, we're just going to head on down towards Treehouse and see if there's any activity that side, and then we'll take it from there.
Good luck to the Treehouse Dam. You might be surprised. You might get a cat drinking there. Now, the flowers, I would say, the small little flowers you'd see coming up here during the rains that I love most to see are the lily pajama and the white tissue flowers. So I'm looking at them. They only appear during the rains and then they disappear. And you notice my friend is here. For those of you who may not understand what I'm saying, my friend is here because I just love to see or to watch this lilac here. Got on the last feathers there. See the fox, sometimes you call it, we call it the fox roller, and I'm happy you agree with me. And saw her again, of course, not this one, this morning on the morning drive, and I heard many people saying they love to see this roller, and they also love it. Balancing there, because a slight breeze of wind we got at the moment. I was saying earlier we had a huge storm for about 15, 20 minutes, and then it stopped, and everything now looks colorful, good. The temperatures have dropped. Where'd you go? A bit of thunderstorms here and there. Sometimes they'll always leave where they were perched, fly somewhere and catch something and maybe come back to where exactly they were and eat whatever they've been able to catch. Well, I'm enjoying doing a bit of birding this afternoon. I might do that a little bit more before I change the course and look for the big mammals. Let me do a bit of birding and before I look for some bigger animals much later.
We've downscaled now, David. You obviously looking for bigger animals. We went from impala and now we are looking at 2 warthogs. I'm very upset because the third warthog that normally hangs out with these 2 is taking a bit of a break. So that one that you can see there, that's looks like one of the boars. And then my favorite warthog in the entire world is that one over there. But you might not be able to recognize her until she puts her head up at it. Yes, if you're wondering, it is Linda, the warthog. Please don't use these names. They're just my little pet names for my animals that I get to see every single day. And I like to follow them around. I'm going to try and see for how long we can follow these warthogs for today. So they've just come down to have a drink, and hopefully they'll go in and have a wallow. I don't know if it's hot enough for them to have a bit of a wallow, but either way, I hope they come back past the car and have a scratch. But very relaxed, not normally perturbed by my loud booming voice. There you can see that it's Linda on the right-hand side because her left ear is gone. Hello, girl. Look how cute she is. But the other warthog that had a bit of a club foot that we've been watching over the past few months, but he's starting to heal quite nicely. He's putting a lot more weight on his foot and the swelling seems to have gone down. He came and drank at about 1:45 this afternoon. Yeah, Odie's just said that. Linda's just had her hair done. You can see when they turn around like that. I can just imagine them squinting their faces when they try to look at us from a distance, going, "What are you over there?" And they haven't got the greatest eyesight, I'm afraid. They really do rely on their sense of smell. Every single safari guide has definitely tried to sneak up to warthogs before. I remember doing it as a very young, inexperienced guide, and I got fairly close, just a couple of meters away from warthogs, out in the open. The only thing I had in my favor was the wind, and I moved exceptionally slowly, but it was really, really quite crazy to see how eyesight is not a thing for them. I also only moved when they went down onto their sort of knees and had their snouts digging in the sand, or I suppose pulling up grass. And yeah, and then when this warthog realized that it was there, it almost had a heart attack. It shot on off in the opposite direction, thankfully, because that would have been a disaster if it came running towards me. But you can see a nice big animal pathway that the elephants have worn for them, because moving across this area that was once flooded with the bigger animals that have moved through here makes it quite tricky for the animals to walk across. So they'll always walk the same path. Yes, go have a scratch. So this is the funniest thing. You get to know these animals and know their patterns. Hey, Linda, are you coming closer? No, you just want to go on the pathway. She said, no, I don't mind the vehicle so much. Sorry, that was my hat. Normally they have a scratch on that log behind, but that's typically after a bit of a wallow in the mud. Off you two, waiting for Linda. And I don't know if this is an offspring of a warthog. I don't know if it's maybe just a young male that she's met up with, but he's definitely much smaller than the other big male that we normally see with them. So, Sassy Kathy, we were joking about the warthog having her hair done. So that mane on the sort of her back, the main purpose of that, when they feel threatened, you'll see them, they'll erect it, and that hair stands up. And essentially that makes them look bigger. But other than that, I don't think serves much of a purpose. Sometimes with lions and stuff like that, a mane will protect vital organs. That's not enough mane to really make much of a difference, to stop something like a lion grabbing it by the throat. But they do have exceptionally thick skin that helps with that. So kind of just there, I would say, to maybe make them look a little bit bigger. And I reckon if that's even the reason, great. Otherwise, it serves no purpose. But Norman was talking about oxpeckers this morning and how he said the smallest mammal seen oxpeckers land on was the warthog. So here we go. And you can see there's a juvenile little. So all of them have got yellow rings around their eyes and red beaks. And then that one, sorry, we're just zooming out now. But the one oxpecker right in the middle, you can see it has a black bill and it doesn't have the yellow ring around its eyes. So it's probably still learning how to be an oxpecker. Come on, if you want something to eat, you have to work for it. They're holding on quite tight. But now you can also get a really great 3D. But again, it's not, sorry, we're looking in between sticks as you can see, but it's not like super, super hairy like a lion or an impala. The hair is completely different. It's so coarse. And some warthogs are hairier than others. Normally when they're quite little, they have an excess amount of hair. We even see it on elephants occasionally, and I'm sure that helps keep them a little bit warm.
Welcome back. We have actually had a change of heart because we heard that some of the guides had a pack of wild dogs this morning. We decided to head in this direction, and they are still here. How amazing. What you can see on screen at the moment is one of the puppies. We've counted 11 of them. And all the pups are just huddled up behind that. Let's have a look at that. Adorable. All just playing in the shade there. So, thus far, we've counted, like I said, 11 pups. And then I think we've got 7 adults just to the right here. There we go. Also just resting in the shade. And then two of them off to the side, a little bit further on. Hey, you can see that one quite nicely. He's grooming. Or chewing on something there. Love those big ears. So it looks like most of them are actually, they're quite full. Not that one that's up though. But it looks like they might have had something to eat this morning. Maybe it was something small. And all of them didn't have a bite to eat. And if that's the case, then they might go out for another hunt this afternoon. Pups are up. Some of the pups at least. The coloration on these dogs are just incredible. They are adorable, I must agree with everyone. It's beautiful, the brown, black and white blotches. And then just, you know, the only constant really is that white tip to the tail and then the black muzzle. That one's almost got like a few black stripes on its tail. Tammy, they are not. Hyenas are not dogs. They're not cats either. They are, I guess you could say, in an order of their own. Whilst these dogs are, well, they're dogs. Or painted wolves, as some people call them. But if you compare a hyena and a wild dog, hyenas are much stockier. They're much heavier. And also the gait is much different. I don't know if you have a look at a hyena, you'll see that they've got really strong, the front quarters are really strong and well developed, and then they've got the sloping back, whereas wild dogs, you know, they've got a straight back, I guess you could say. Also the ears, the wild dogs have really big round ears. Hyenas don't have that. Oh, look at that. Look at that youngster. He's got a big wound on his back. That's not good. He seems fine though. I wonder how that happened. Kirsty's just saying that she saw there was another one of the pups that even had an injured paw. So I wonder what happened here. You know, once these pups leave the den and they start moving around with the pack, that is actually when they're most vulnerable, very susceptible to hyenas and things that often follow these packs of wild dogs, and they might catch and kill them when the pack's actually hunting.
Hello, Jumbo. Welcome back to the Masai Mara, and we're already here. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. We're already out here at a place we call Dirisha, and we have found some very beautiful elephants. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Question and comments are very, very welcome. This is a beautiful small herd of elephants. I think the smallest I've seen in a long time. And it's got some very big females. Some of them really look like they're going to have some babies in the next coming weeks, like this girl here. You can tell she's looking really well, but very, very big. I'm hoping that she's gonna have her baby safely They are crossing the road. This is an area I've come to learn that at this time of day, around 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, they do cross the road from the forest out into the open plains. We've had a lot of rain this afternoon, so it's nice and cool, and that's why they look black almost. And if you look on their toes, they're wet because they've been walking on grass. I'm sure they're very cold, but they cannot, tell us. But they love it when it's wet like this because all the grass is nice and wet, and I believe it feels like eating noodles because it's a matter of just taking it in. It's already wet, unlike where you have to eat very coarse, dry grass, then go drink some water. There comes another one. She wants to come and cross. Looks like it's slightly a younger one, but there's so many that have crossed this area, but this small herd is the one we're seeing right now. It's not as big, and looks like she's eating something there before she decides to go back. Yes, I don't know if he's hearing me because I can tell his body language is sort of changed. No, he's quite okay. This looks like a young bull. Yeah, the size of the tusks tell me so, and also the forehead, which is very rounded. Let me confirm that to you in a minute. Also the back tells me. Yeah, some females have got a very curvy back. It's one way of telling. Yeah, looks like he's picking a particular shrub. It's not grass, if you notice that. And if you look on his far tusk, looks like he used it to dig something off the ground. You see that? It's much darker. So, yeah, he had used to dig something. Yeah, tusks are very important in an elephant because they are trees that are medicinal. I believe that they need to take in, and also they taste really they taste nice, and they love them, like they're salty or bitter, and so they like them. Without the tusks, they'll not be able to dig them. Also, they dig grounds for minerals, and so the tusks are very, very important. I'm gonna move further up, and I'll catch you up the road. Correct. Elephants are pretty important, and the places sometimes we have seen them digging for minerals, they also churn the soil and they leave it more fertile when it rains, and vegetation will always rise up. I think today is a day for elephants. Isaac, with elephants myself, at a different corner of the Masai Mara Game Reserve. Elephants, but definitely different herds. Not sure Isaac had a small baby like what I got here. You see, Isaac was talking about the rain. This, I hear from the final controls, much smaller, and you can see this elephant must have been in some kind of swamp. Definitely not the river, because you can see up towards the elbow or backwards towards the knee, the colors are different. So she must have been somewhere wading in a swamp. Kate, the largest herd of elephants I have ever seen were about 300 elephants, 300. And that was a massive herd. And in Kenya, towards the east of Kenya, there is a national park called Amboseli National Park. At the very base of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. And I saw the largest herd, and that's like 5 years ago, 300 of them. And what was interesting, after I watched those elephants for quite some time, I stayed with them for about 1 hour following them. It was getting dark. And when it got to about 6 o'clock, going to 6:30, darkness was coming. The 300 elephants split into about 10, 15 groups. And they all went separate ways. And my guess was either they were having a meeting with the senior-most matriarch, passing some important information. Of course, that was my own deduction. And then they split into individual families, and they went different directions. That was the largest herd I've ever seen. But I also thought that that was a very special gathering to see them behave that way. Whatever they must be been feeding in the water could have been very green, very wet, very soft, and now they're picking some dry grass. See this cow here. She has been rained on. You can see how the rain has dried on her skin. And the baby following very closely to who I would guess could be the mother, or maybe a bigger sister behind or a bigger brother. I'll just move on to a different corner and find out what we'll get for you.
These puppies are just so adorable. We haven't been seeing the adults move around a lot, but the pups are very curious. Every time we move, and when we repositioned the last time as well, some of them got up and it's almost like they wanted to come closer as well. But there is constant movement. Like bullying each other, biting each other's ears. Jakarta, not as far as I know. I don't know of, I haven't heard anything about wild dogs and domestic dogs being bred or crossbred. And I also haven't really heard of people domesticating these wild dogs. So I'd have to say no, but I'll go do a little bit more research, but as far as I know, you can't crossbreed. How beautiful are the white markings on the front legs there. Those white blotches. Look at that. These pups are getting restless. There's actually one of the pups that's walking over to the adults, but they're still fast asleep. The adults might only get up when it cools down a little bit. And like I said, we could see some of them had full bellies, but there are quite a few of them that it doesn't look like they've had much to eat. So these dogs they'll hunt early mornings and late afternoons. So if their bellies aren't all full, and there's a good chance that once the sun starts setting a little bit, they might go out for another hunt. Usually what they'll go for is small to medium-sized prey. How do wild dogs avoid inbreeding, Kate? Good question. So in a pack, you will usually find an alpha pair. So the two dominant dogs. And what you'll find is that those are the only two that will breed. Sometimes some of the males, there might be more than one male that will be with the female, but that's only the one female will have pups. Now you can imagine if all the females in this pack had to have puppies, there would be puppies everywhere. Just now we can see 11 pups, which probably comes from the one female. So just to ensure the survival of the pups, only one of the females will breed, and they'll all look after these pups. So with concerns to inbreeding, just the one female will breed, and if there are other females or males that want to start breeding, they'll break away from the pack. And that they'll normally do in little groups. So a bunch of males will move off, or a bunch of females will move off, and then hopefully they'll find other small breakaway groups and form a new pack.
Welcome back to Juma, everybody. We found ourselves a small family of Nyala on the drainage line, and the sun has really come out now. A little bit of golden light through on the pelts there. Also lots and lots of birding at the moment. Yeah, so it's going to be quiet for you, see if you can hear all these birds. Here at 11 o'clock, just on the bottom of the bank there. Yeah, if you don't mind. My favourite bird is busy digging. Little gap just over there. You'll see them digging there. Here we go. Down a little bit. Yes. Now that bird, and there's another one below it. All these birds are going crazy. Just below it a little bit more. In the gap, there we go. Bottom of screen, there's a bird moving. You've got him there. There we go. There is my green-winged Pytilia, everybody. I love these guys. Or this girl, should I say. I think James likes these birds too. Kirsty's just told me he's going to be jealous that we got it on screen. We do try. We do try often. I've had a couple on screen, but it's very difficult to do. Now, all of these fellows are feeding in mixed species flock here on the side of the riverbank. They're all seed eaters. And I wonder how exactly they're suddenly coming across seed. Maybe the rain has washed things from the top of the bank down. We're in the region of the spotted eagle family, so it's quite a dangerous place to be hanging out for a small bird, but when you need to eat, you might as well hang out in a bird party.
Hello, and welcome back. Look at this cutie little thing. And Mommy is like sort of directing it, where to go. It's actually losing its footing. It's so small, it's unbelievable. Look at it. Whoa, look at it. It feels like the road is, the track is very strange. Very cute. Look at that. Yeah, see, Mommy is trying to say, don't go that way. And there's a cousin who's coming very fast from the other side to say, don't go that way. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, she's come. And it's like, follow me, don't follow her, or don't go that way. I think that is the mommy. The other one was an auntie. Yeah, they do have lots of aunties. They call them alo, A-L-L-O, alo aunties. And they take care of the young ones when they're really young so that the mother can sometimes relax. But you could tell that there she came and interfered and say, you're not doing, you're sticking her still to the road. You're supposed to be gone. Yeah, and so the mom said, no, let's go. But it's very, very small. I don't know, maybe I would give it 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks. This is like a week. I would say a week. It's so small, you could tell that it felt that the track was strange. It couldn't. Actually, the texture of the ground was strange. Yeah, this is very, very young. Yeah, we're having a very big baby boom on elephants, which is really, really nice. And that's an experienced mother. She knew how to take care of the little one and take it off the track as soon as possible because she knows the track is meant for the road and they're heading out. Matt, you ask if elephants have ever have twins. Yes, they've had. I don't know if they have survived. I remember I saw somebody who posted the twins that were born, but they were stillborn. So they can give birth to twins. Evidence of them surviving, I still have to find out. But yes, Matt, they do give birth to twins. Yeah, can you imagine giving birth to twins? Yes, yeah. They actually, I think twins have been experienced, twins have been seen, and I think in Juma last year, I think they had twins. So they do give birth to twins, although it's very, very rare. I was just about to say, can you imagine being a mom carrying twins for 2 years, 24 months? That's serious. Yeah, but they do it. They're elephants, they're big, and that's what they're meant to do. That is a very, very small one. And I tell you, here there is no joke. If you are to appear in this kind of place, actually, the mother won't attack you, but the alo aunties are the ones that are going to get rid of you. This is a very sensitive situation when you see a young one like this. Even with a vehicle, you have to avoid it by all means. They are very, very protective and sensitive when they have a really little one. You can tell right now, it's right in the middle. Everybody is sort of in a distance, pretending not to pay attention, but I tell you, they are really, really listening and watching the little guy. Remember, this is live. It's coming live from the beautiful Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, East Africa. And it is beautiful here. It is that kind of evening where it's nice and cool. We've just had some rain, so there's no heat at all. Actually, I've put on my sweater, so it's quite cool. We have some more on the other side of the road, and there's a little guy there. I think the mom is heading back slowly towards him. He's dragging behind. I'm staying here and watching him, see what the interaction is all about.
And from one baby to more babies. We're still with the wild dog puppies. The one you can see lying down there, that's the one with the injury on the back. And we're actually saying he went off and he was lying there on the road by himself. And I was saying it looks like he's feeling sorry for himself. But then this other little puppy, his brother, went over and started playing with him, and he's now nursing his wounds there. So I think that's quite cute. Looking after each other. We were chatting about how full they looked and if they had hunted something in the morning. All these puppies do look like they have really round bellies. So they all look quite well fed. But that could also be because they normally beg for food. So even if these adults did catch something small, the pups will come and they'll whine, and that almost induces the adults to regurgitate meat for them, because that's how they feed them when they're still really young and in the den. When they're still in the den site, the adults come back every day from a hunt. The pups come out, they start twittering and whining, and then the adults regurgitate meat for them. You just see meat flying everywhere. It's quite a scene. There you can see that puppy's got a nice full belly. But they're all still quite lazy. Just lying around. Incredible to find them right on the road again, though. How crazy is that? Anushka, when do the pups join in on the hunt? So they'll start off in the den where they stay for about 3 months. After 3 months, then they'll start following the pack on hunts. And like I mentioned earlier, that is when they're most vulnerable. When they lag behind, hyenas and other predators follow these dogs, and that's when they get taken. But successfully joining in on a hunt, I'd say probably around a year old. But yeah, the older they get, the more curious they get. And you often see when you watch wild dogs, even the smaller puppies, they're always, if something's moving, even if it's an insect in the grass or a little bird, they'll run at it and they'll try and catch it, just playing around, you know. So as soon as they can, they'll try and join in. The wind has actually just turned, and I can smell these dogs. They actually have a very, very strong smell. It's quite a weird smell.
How special, wild dogs. I do quite enjoy the smell. It's difficult to explain the sweet and sourness of them. Well, we found one of our eagle owls, everybody, and it's very interesting. Same spot as we find them quite often, but so many birds are out at the moment. I had a little juvenile orange-breasted bush shrike. We had some crombecs, some blackback puffbacks. There's some babblers calling behind us, some oxpeckers now. And a moment ago we had a pair of paradise flycatchers. Hopefully we're about to get them for you again. They're all very movable. The owls obviously will sit in one spot for a while. We have a pair of flycatchers close to camp that I hear often. But birds are really out in force at the moment. Spring is here and it's time for calling. It's time for finding a mate. Tawny-flanked priniers abounding as well. Green-backed Cameroptera calling there. Actually, that was a palace. He's in the tree above here. Yeah, you see him jumping around in there. Yellow-breasted palace. The owl is very unimpressed, but none of the birds are bombing him. None of them are bombing him. Let's see if we can get him. I think there's 2 of them now. Yeah, male and female. There we go, very nice yellow-breasted palace pair. Jumping through the tambuti, looking for any insects that there might be. Tambuti are flowering as well. Very different flowers from the rest. Nice one, Theo. So that's the behavior we call gleaning, everybody, jumping through the vegetation, looking for insects. Many caterpillars and the like will hatch after rains. And that's what many of our birds specialize in, hopping through the vegetation looking for caterpillars. We're going to hang around here. There's a little long-billed crombeck, which is very cool to add to the list.
Well, birds are always interesting topic or subject to look at, and I'm looking at the Masai Mara game reserve alone, and we've got about 400 to 500 bird species in this particular area. And if you look on that Maasai giraffe walking, definitely either she got one species of bird at the very base of her neck, and that must be an oxpeck as far as I'm concerned. And I've always said, birds are always interesting to watch. Like, a giraffe doesn't change to be a giraffe, to be an elephant or anything else. But a bird like that, my only guess is an oxpecker, is because of where it is, her feeding habit. It could be different, but we get some joy to know that you can identify a bird even without seeing its true colors or the actual size by looking at certain behavior of that particular bird. So two girls of the Maasai giraffe which have just crossed the road. Look at the height in comparison with the Ololo escarpment in the background. Very majestic, and the ambling, we say, two legs of one side moving at the same time. And truly, that's beautiful. Look at the colors of the blue sky, the different shades in the background of blue. She stops, pauses, looks at us. Doesn't think we are of any threat, so we'll let them continue doing the thing as we search for more different animals.
It's just dropped. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Doom from and beyond from Pinda Private Game Reserve. And here we are. Behind the camera we have Craig, and then as you can see right in front of us, beautiful giraffe sightings. Actually 3 of them, and we have 2 female with young male, very, very young. The size, almost the same size as the female, which she's still hanging around with the female at the moment. So it's going to be a stage where it's going to have to leave the journey to trying to join other males. Will be like more partial look. That's how he learned how to use his horn. As you can see, right on top of his horn is quite thick, comparing to the female. The female have more tufted hair on top of their horns, so that's how you can see the difference between. See, the female got very thin horns comparing to him, and look at the little bird sitting right in front of. Look at this. He's sitting almost between his horns and ears. Look at another one coming as well, trying to scratch over there, because they're helping them a lot, cleaning them, feeding those chicks. Oh, she doesn't like that one. She does not. Look at these lips. Amazing to see these lips, because they use them like our fingers when we're trying to pull something, especially when they're pulling these leaves between the thorns. They will use the tongue and the lips. It's amazing to see that they don't get hurt at all. So, as you can see, these trees, there's nothing much around, but a lot of these acacias. Looks like she's listening to what I'm saying, looking direct to us. Look at these eyelashes. They're beautiful animals. And wow, look at the lovely sky behind, and it's an amazing day. It looks like just keep on bothering by these birds. Keep on listening, the wind blows as well. As you can see, that's just the way they're standing. They are making sure they are in a safe place. And also another 2 coming behind, which the number is growing up. We have 5 giraffes here now. There must be more than 5, because when they're hanging around the area, then they're feeding around, they'll be like spreading all over the place around. But also there's help to avoiding and if it's any dangerous around. So they trying to make sure they can see any dangerous. look at the color. It's amazing. Some of them very light. Some of them... Okay. Some of them a bit more dark, but these are more light.
Welcome back to our owl, who has not done much except look around a bit and hope he doesn't get spotted. Now Heidi says she can't find the yellow-breasted apelles in her bird book. Well, Heidi, there's no other name that I can find. Apelles flavida is a scientific name. Yellow-breasted apelles, alternative name, yellow-breasted apelles. So I don't know what else it could have been before, or what book you might be looking in. Geelbos klein jantjie in Afrikaans. Also the one with the yellow breast before, and the male having normally more of the black around the chest. So it can be quite small, the black on the chest. The female lacks that little band. Sometimes the male's just got a little dark spot there. It's not necessarily a band. Always good to look out though. In certain areas you can find a few. Oh, here we go. Babblers have found him. That owl just keeps looking towards us going, who does that guy think he is? Who are you? How crazy. So everybody, a lot of you are wondering how we know this isn't Sebwick. Well, everyone, we have no idea. We keep finding a pair together, so we kind of assume it's the same breeding pair. I haven't found a third one. Could be. I mean, it's not wearing a name badge or anything. I find it very difficult to identify them apart from each other. But I actually, the other day when I arrived here in the morning, we didn't have, our vehicle wasn't operational, but we were out to just help track for Andrew, and I found an owl pellet underneath where this owl is sitting, and I dissected it. And very, very cool. I found scorpion pincers. I found about 5 or 6 different jawbones of small mice. Enormous amounts of small bones. I will be posting that on my Instagram this evening, or tomorrow anyway. Very, very cool to see how many bones in a pretty small sized little ball. There's an enormous amount of fluff and fur. Almost looks like that stuff you pull out of the laundry after you've washed the laundry for many times. You pull out that pocket of lint. It almost looks like that, except there was other bits and pieces inside.
We have some waterbuck in quite an unusual location. Waterbuck in generally, or at least the bulls, we do have a bull here as well, are really territorial. It's very rare to find them far away from water. And I think the nearest water point to us right now is Buffelshoek Dam. but it's really far away. Let's see if we can get a better view. She was posing very, very beautifully just a moment ago. The bull's there. What are you all doing here? Can you get this beautiful female from here, BK? With her little love heart nose. Many of you love the water bugs, as do I. I can see 2 females and 1 male, and they're absolutely nowhere near water. Just turn that down. So females normally move together as with any antelopes. Really, the females stick together, and normally there's sort of a dominant bull around, and he will be the one that, of course, leads the females. But within water bucks, the females can actually move in small herds, and they actually visit different bulls' territories. So the bulls set up their territories around water, and the females can just visit different bulls' territories. And believe it or not, they actually show preference to certain bulls. I don't know what they base that on, and they will visit his territory more frequently. So if he's a very handsome chap or he's a gentleman and they like him, they will visit his territory far more than other bulls, which is really fascinating. But it also could have more to do with the fact that it's actually nothing to do with the man at all, and that bull's territory possibly has better grazing or just better food in general. Water, more water, just more resources. That could actually be the reason. Or he could be handsome like this chap. What the bulls do is attempt to keep them, but it's not always successful. One more time with that, Kirsten. They're quite alert, these waterbuck. Taryn, you're asking what is a waterbuck's top predator? To be honest, all of them. Lions will take down a waterbuck. Leopard would take down a smaller waterbuck. Maybe even an adult would be a big feat for a leopard, but I think the larger male leopards could absolutely do it. Wild dogs. Wild dogs are known to work cooperatively as a pack and take down a large animal like a waterbuck, and even crocodiles. Crocodiles will snatch them from the water's edge and pull them under. So they do have a lot of predators, and that's probably why they're so alert right now. But the young are easy pickings for many of the predators. A large bull would probably be a bit of a challenge for a leopard, but they definitely would try. I mean, a male waterbuck can weigh up to 270 kilograms, and a female can come in at about 180, so there's quite a big size difference there. So we're going to sit here and admire this beautiful gallon of waterbucks.
And the wild dogs are still sleeping. But I guess sleeping wild dogs is better than no wild dogs. So we have nothing to complain about. In the interim, we actually managed to count a few more dogs. So we noticed that there are 9 adults and still the 11 pups. So now at least we know there are 20 or so. Okay, we're crossing over to Tswalu. There's a lion calling.
It's all right, guys. Guess who's woken up? So this is officially the first vocalization that she's done for the afternoon, and this is very good news. We actually just arrived back at her, and we went for a little loop. We actually decided to go south from where she came from this morning, see if we couldn't find maybe the kill site where she came from or so, and we actually did find the rest of the Southern Pride's tracks, 2 females and then some cubs tracks. Possibly, well, definitely those 3.5 to 4 month old cubs that one of the other females has. And So I'm pretty sure she joined them for the kill during the night, and now she's heading back to wherever this afternoon or this morning. The tracks went into a block, however, which is monstrously big. So we didn't want to drive off-road too much to try and find these other lions. So luckily we came back to this little girl, and she graced us with a beautiful vocalization. I do think it's going to be maybe another 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes until she really gets up and gets moving. The sun is starting to disappear behind the clouds a little bit, so it is going to cool down soon. The breeze is also picking up. So hopefully, not too long from now, she'll actually start getting up and getting going, and that would be great. But definitely looking for someone. You know, you don't typically find the lions, especially lioness, vocalizing at this time of the day. And also not a warm day like today. They'll typically wait until it's cooler, for a number of reasons. Then they're active because it's more energy efficient. Also, when it's cooler and the air is thinner, the sound carries further, so they can communicate with one another over greater distances. But it would seem like she's really on a forgive me if I get your name wrong now. The freighter or some just asked, where's Tswalu located? Dakota. Sorry. So Tswalu is located in the northern Cape Northern Cape province of South Africa, very close to the Botswana border. On the so the easiest to explain it to you is if you come down the map of the Botswana-Namibia border, just a little bit to the east, and about 50 kilometers, maybe 80 kilometers, so 50 miles south of the Botswana border. Our closest town is a place called Hot as Hell, which is quite fitting. But that's a very, very small town. So probably if you look on the map and you see Uppington, we're about 2 hours east of Uppington. So in the Northern Cape, in the Kalahari, very close to Botswana, is where we are situated. That's why we have, being on the western side of South Africa, that's why we have a bit more of a drier climate than what the Lowveld has in the east. We have the cold Benguela current that's influencing our weather systems more than the warmer oceans of the eastern South Africa. You can see she's definitely not sleeping anymore, guys. Very aware of what's going on. I think it's just that, when you wake up initially and you have to get out of bed, but you just don't want to yet. Something like that at the moment.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still around here. As you can see, just a glimpse of the zebra just move across behind a bush. But it is still another one walking through. The giraffe actually is still hanging around. Apparently the zebra, they're following up on this giraffe because as normal, you'll find a giraffe and then zebra also follow behind just to make sure they're in a safe place, because they know the giraffe, they have very good eyesight, and because they can spot dangers coming miles away. That's why most of the time the giraffe prefer to follow, the zebra prefer to follow the giraffe because of that reason. So I've seen a giraffe actually playing around like a youngsters of the giraffe, and the zebra, they were actually around there. As they start running, the zebra also start following them because they wasn't too sure what's happening. They thought they must be running away from the dangerous, but they actually just playing around them. then you realize they're there for the reason.
Well, I'm really glad you caught that lion roaring. I can promise you that if these wild dogs had to hear a lion roaring now, they would not be sleeping anymore. At least this little pup is up. He's sniffing around there. Lions are they're a big threat to these wild dogs. At least 40% of wild dog pups are lost to lions. That's also one of the reasons why they usually hunt during the day, early mornings and late afternoons. It's to try and avoid running into the larger predators like lions especially, and also leopards. Finding a nice resting spot there on his brother or sister. Casey, is rabies a problem with wild dogs? They are susceptible to quite an array of different diseases. I know they are susceptible to canine distemper, which they'll pick up from domestic dogs, maybe in areas surrounding these parks. Concerns to rabies, I'm sure they can pick up rabies as well, but yeah, I haven't heard of wild dogs in this area at least that have had rabies, but I'm sure they can pick it up. It is cooling down slightly. There's a nice breeze here. And looking at the adults, they still seem quite lazy. You just see the ears flicking every now and again and the tails moving, trying to chase the flies. It's just the puppies that are up and down. And also whining. I think they want to get going.
We are looking at some birds here, but before seeing the bird, on the left, if you look top left of the screen, we'll come to these birds later, that are the Hadada ibis. Look carefully there. Seems to be a lioness crouching in the grass or lying in the grass. And what we're trying, myself and Bunge, who's on camera, to do is to investigate what she could be doing. Is she laying ambush for anything? Is she waiting for something to come her way? But that is a lioness, and it's definitely from the River Pride. And want to find out if she's alone, and that's what you call camouflage beyond. Because how we picked her up, it was just sheer luck. Her head was up, but look at her now. You could easily walk and step right on her on the back. Or just see her when you're only 2 meters away. But that's the lioness there of the River Pride. Now, are you having a snooze? Maybe, but initially when I looked at her, she seemed to be having an attention of something. Just looking and looking, apart from the lapwings we saw there, the Hadada ibis there that are very busy, are feeding. Tease me, is that what we should be watching? We'll just go around a little bit. And it's possible there's a topi in the background there. But that kind of ambush, to me, is a warthog wait. You could all be very right. That's how they wait for warthogs, because the warthogs, when they run, they'll keep the same direction until they stop to look again. So water will just come straight, boom, to where she is, and it'll be very easy for her to catch a warthog in that particular posture or position she is in. And most likely there could be some termite mound or a warthog in a hole there. She just blends in the grass and she disappears completely. Trying to see if there's any warthogs you can see move. Oh, she knows there is one somewhere. And she'll just have to wait until the warthog comes out. Those birds, top, bottom, right, and bottom right of the screen are the Harada ibis. So let me just move forward a little bit and then take one huge turn and find out whether she is with other members of her pride, and then I will let you know.
Alrighty, guys. So David and I was just joking about, when I said earlier she's seeming to be waking up and doing all of those things, from vocalizing full on to flat cat in a matter of minutes. The sun did come out a little bit behind the clouds again, though, so it could be that she's just waiting for it to cool down a little bit more, but not looking like she's in the mood to get up now anytime soon. However, I do think it's not going to be too long from now. It must be good to be a lion. So yeah, there's another vehicle that just came into the reserve, also looking for the lions, and they're going to follow up on those tracks that we found earlier. So if they get lucky, maybe we'll, if this female continues to look like this, we'll actually head over. They're going to spend some time following the tracks there on foot, so maybe they can get a visual of them, and then we'll head over that way as well. But if not, we're going to stick with this lady and see what she has to show us this afternoon. Currently, I don't think she might be dreaming of what she's going to show us, but not close to doing that yet. Beautiful. You can see that reddish shine that she had on her chest and mouth this morning has actually faded. We saw her cleaning herself this morning after having a meal last night, and it seems like she's gotten most of it out. There's maybe a little bit of a pinkish blush still there on the necklace, but apart from that, nothing really left. It always amazes me how they can reach all of those spots. If you think about having to clean your neck with your tongue, it's an impossible job. There we go. Seems like she heard something now. So there was a couple of Gemsbok or oryx coming over the dune behind us, but they were still far away. I think they might actually head on and give this female a miss.
So I think these pups have had enough of all this sleeping. Most of them just got up, and a few of them are chewing on some branches there. You can see that on screen now. Just playing around. Got one or two of the adults also getting... no, they're back down. like they're putting up a show for us here. Gert was saying earlier, they're actually making him sleepy with all this sleeping. He feels like just cuddling up next to them. Descendant, can wild dogs be tamed like normal dogs? Not as far as I know. I have heard a rumor or story that there was a guy in one of the local communities close by that had a wild dog. This was quite a few years ago. But generally speaking, no. They can't be domesticated. And I think you also wouldn't want to take them out of their pack. You can see how happy they look together, how they're playing and how they, cuddling with each other when they're sleeping. So they definitely need to be in a pack. Here's one of the adults that's up, just interacting with the pups a little bit. Nice to see the size difference between the adult and the pups. And this is good. So if we've got one of the adults up, maybe it'll wake up the rest of the adults. And we actually noticed that there is a herd of impalas not too far from these dogs. And the wind is also in their favor. So let's see what happens. Let's see if this dog wakes the others up. Yeah, it is limping. I can see that. I wonder what happened here. Quite a few of them are injured. Alright, you can see the adult is actually walking from dog to dog, just licking them. I hope trying to get them up. Look at that. It's quite an exciting time when they wake up after they've been sleeping for a bit. They do this pre-hunt rally where they rally each other up and get really excited. They start running around, defecating and urinating everywhere, but getting excited for the hunt. And I really hope that happens. And they also make this twittering noise, which is really beautiful. Let's see. Come on. Oh, a lot of yawning, licking going on. Let's see, this is a good sign. Come on. Listen, 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 listen. Rallying up the troops. You can see them running to the other dogs that are still sleeping as well. And notice the tails that are up, like the white flag. They're coming back, they're coming back. Some whining going on here as well. Pups begging for food from the adults. This is incredible. Seems like they're settling down again now. Oh, no. But notice what the pups are doing. I mentioned this earlier, but how they run to the adults and immediately they bend down and they start begging. And like I said earlier, that induces the adults to kind of regurgitate meat for them. And I think that one is actually Oh, most of the adults are flat again. False alarm. That was amazing. One of the things that makes these wild dogs so special as well, I think, is their social values. And I was watching one or two of them interacting with the injured ones and really licking them and just kind of nursing them. And what's so great is when they are sick and injured dogs, they'll actually look after them. When they go out on a hunt, they'll come back and they'll feed and nurse those dogs back to health. Whereas some of the other predators kind of shun those sick and injured animals. So they really do look after each other, which is amazing. All right, seems like everyone's back down. They're not quite done with their afternoon siesta. That's a first for me. A lot of people saying it sounds like, or the twittering sounds like a VHS tape rewinding. That is definitely a first for me, but you're right. I'll remember that one. It is quite a beautiful sound, though. I really like it. And they make quite an array of different sounds. So they have this twittering noise they make. And then whilst they're hunting, a few of them, if they've got something that they've killed, then they'll call each other in with like a woo, woo. And then they know there's something. They'll all head in that direction. They also growl. They bark. These pups are still restless. They want to get going. All right, we'll sit here for a bit longer and see what happens.
We've came across a juvenile water monitor lizard. Now, this one's very small, which is why we've actually stopped. I had an incredible encounter with a water monitor lizard yesterday. But this is very small. It's long, but it's really, really petite. It's definitely not an adult. It's a youngster. And the female, oh, look at those claws. What's on his head? Something's on his head, but I can't figure out what it is. It almost looks like those claws are far too big for his body. Now, female monitor lizards are very smart, and they will soften the soil, normally with these spring rains, and dig a big hole into the ground, and that's where she'll lay her eggs. And it's normally about 60 eggs, give or take. Yeah, I agree, Kirsten. It does look like a tick on its head. Oh, sleeping. I'm really not sure if it is or not, but that's what it looks like from here. Reptiles can get ticks. Many people think they can't, but they can, I assure you. There's specialised ticks that cling on to reptiles. But yes, the female will lay about 60 eggs. And they will stay in the soil. And they will wait until a full year later. It's a very, very long time for a reptilian egg. And they will sort of emerge or hatch, if you like, with the spring rains again. So they're laid in the spring rains, and the following year, again, they will hatch. And the young monitors actually dig themselves out, so completely independent at such a young age, which is fascinating. This one's obviously had a really busy day, trying to catch a snooze in the sun. I'm just trying to remember the ticks that cling on to reptiles, because it's not as easy. If you think when a tick, especially if they're blind, are questing using the front pair of legs, it's easy to cling on to mammal. Mammal's skin is soft and they can easily penetrate. But for a reptile, that's a lot more trickier. Their skin is thick and normally covered in scales. So the ticks that will be able to sort of specialize on reptiles have to be quite large themselves and have really long, robust mouth parts in order to penetrate through that armor. But they will go for the softer parts. So there's a very specialised tortoise tick. Can't remember the name, but I'll do my best to pull it out of my brain. And they specialise in questing and latching onto tortoises, but they will go for the softest part of the tortoise skin. But I actually don't think this is a tick. It just prompted me to start talking about ticks. Francis, you're asking, do these lizards shed their skin? Yes, they do, but not in the same way that snakes do. So snakes normally shed their skin all in one go. So it looks like a cotton sock hanging on the branches. But with lizards, like this one, they will shed their skin, their scales, but it normally comes off in patches. You can see it. It's the same sort of effect as a snake. It goes cloudy. It goes really, really white, and you know that that top layer of skin is ready to peel off. So yes, they do, but it doesn't come off in one go. Imagine finding an empty lizard casing of skin just standing there. So it doesn't quite happen like this. So we're getting ready to very shortly visit the hyena den once again.
All right, so these dogs just got up and they're on the move. So we're going to have to try and keep up with them. Oh, wait, they are turning back. Let's just see what's happening. Is the right time for them to start hunting now. So let's see how this goes. They're still also just rallying each other up, getting ready for the hunt. Yeah, the little one with the broken leg and the other injured one they're kind of falling behind. But you can see there's another dog coming back and just checking up on them. I'm actually really surprised that puppy has managed to survive for this long. And a lot of the times earlier we were saying it's quite surprising that there are no hyenas lying close by, because these hyenas are often in pursuit of the dogs when they hunt, because they know these dogs are very successful when it comes to hunting. So they'll try and steal the carcass from them as soon as they kill something. And this little puppy lagging behind, that's not good. It's an easy target for something like an hyena. I think this one is just... There's one dog approaching us in front here, just doing its rounds. It's scanning around here. Just checking if everyone's up.
Okay.
That was awesome.
A beautiful afternoon, everyone. We have Kumo, the elephant bull. One of my favorite champ here at Prideland. So he just took a poo.
Good afternoon, Riperile. Ladies and gents, my name is Norman Chauke. I just took over from my colleague, Tyler. She's just sitting at the back, enjoying her peanut butter. That's his poo. He just took a poo now and a nice pee. And then he just came close to our vehicle and then just greeting us or checking up on us, and then off he goes. It's a beautiful afternoon. It's sunny but a little bit chilly with some wind. You can see some vegetation moving because of the wind. You can hear the sound of him. They're big animals, trying to move in between. He's just pushed down or move a tree. Nice. Elephant, special at this moment, spend so much of their time feeding on plants such as tree. So they'll use their tusk to just get in between the bark and the main stem of the tree, just for cambium layer. But at this moment, it seems like it's just took some branch into his mouth, matter of chewing and leave the hard layer. And it's one of my favorite boy. I'm just gonna check if we'll find another angle so we have a better visual of him.
So yeah, guys, it's still no change really in the sleepy situation. But just have a look quickly. The tree that she's lying under, or the shade of the tree that she's using currently, that's called a blackthorn acacia. We have quite a lot of them here at Tswalu. They are very much encroaching species, not an alien species, but an encroacher, so the natural healers of the bush. And we were just discussing now how cool it is to see them starting to get flowers. You can really start seeing those white little dots that they've got there in the back. David is going to go in a little bit closer now. But there in the back, it almost looks like it's a tree that's covered in snow. Beautiful, beautiful little white balls of fluff almost. And that just shows you that spring is here. It's so exciting. But yeah, just a bit about the trees. When I say they're the natural healers of the bush, encroaching trees can often be seen as a bad thing. And of course, it's not always ideal for them to, come in and take over and just flood an area with lots of different, or not different, but lots of these little trees. But it's actually quite important for the bush. You typically find them encroaching in areas where there's been a disturbance in the soil. So let's say there was a flood and there was some erosion or so, and the soil is not particularly good for them. Now you can see those flowers. They start out as little red buds on the branches, and then they turn into these little, almost like a popcorn that pops, and then you get that white ball of fluff. Beautiful, beautiful. But sorry, to come back to the erosion story. So where that soil has been disturbed now, and where it's not suitable for something like grass and so on to grow, or other tree species, you'll find these oaks coming in and starting to grow and, covering it up completely almost. And that just gives the bush also the soil time to heal. What they then do, the roots bind the soil so that won't be any further erosion. And as these trees grow up and get older, and certain trees become more dominant, they grow faster because they might be standing in better sunlight or something like that, they will naturally, select the strongest trees, and they will survive and the rest will die off. And that then opens up little corridors and, the surface of the earth for things like grass plants and so on. Also, then only allowing things like, the larger species of animal, like we don't have elephants here, but let's say elephants, to start coming in and grazing and creating pathways and so on. So sometimes this process can take up to maybe 5 years for it to heal and other species of plant coming in. Other times, if the disturbance was quite bad, you'll see that it takes up to 15, 20, sometimes even 30 years. And there's multiple different species of trees that fulfill this role. The blackthorns over here specifically, we get that. But if you go to the Lowveld, you get the Mupanis, you get the sickle bush trees, all of those things. And that's all just, not always ideal for us because you don't think long term. You just want to be able to see through the bush and see that leopard behind the tree. But what we don't realize is that's very important for the bush to heal naturally. It's not like we can go with a bulldozer and just put in new soil. We might be damaging it even more then. So these natural processes, however long they might take, are exceptionally important for the environment to stay healthy. And not only do they help for that, they also provide some nice shade for lions to lie in on a Sunday afternoon, especially when they're lazy.
The lion is just about to enter the bushes there from lions in the Kalahari to lions in the Masai Mara. And I think this could be related to the very first one we saw, part of the River Pride, but she is not showing any sign of hunting. And you can see that Thompson gazelle is looking, that was very close. But I do not remember the last time I saw a lion or a lioness hunting these small antelopes here. I mean, these gazelles are just too small, and I highly doubt they would bother to burn so much energy to catch these beautiful gazelles. Tommies, and the lions or most predators will always calculate before they commit themselves to the prey they're going for. I'm sure they always do lots of calculation and decide, is it worth it or not? I mean, you'd imagine such a big lioness coming for one of these. Speed, definitely they will disagree. These guys are swift, they are fast. And not once we have seen lions just walking through the midst of about 100 of Thompson gazelles and not bothered. You just get, the Thompson gazelle alarming as, a lioness or a lion would pass, because they know, either way they know she will not be bothered to catch either of them. Preferring the very short, lush grass, especially after the rains we have been having here in the Mara. They're looking again. I don't think is the concern of that lioness, could be something else, because that lioness have entered in the bush there. And they say that's part of the River Pride. These lions or lionesses have been very scattered of late. We have been seeing groups or big pride like the Olololo Pride that you all know of. Boo, you say you love their little black tails, and notice something else. See how they keep moving. Boo, especially during the day when it's hot, they get even busier and they keep licking them from, look at that, Boo. And then, okay, let's go to lion calling first.
So yeah, guys, we just had another call from this lady. It seems like, well, I'm not going to make any predictions yet. She might just drop down to the ground again, but it seems like she's looking up and seems like something caught her ear. Or maybe her nose, you know. Could be a smell, could be something she heard. Sometimes they hear things that we don't. But yeah, just beautiful to see her looking a bit more active. And we were talking this morning about how much energy it uses for them to vocalize like that. But typically you find them, as far as noise levels is concerned, when you find them really wanting to, you know, give a proper go at it, it's better for them to lie down on the ground like that. Sometimes they even lie flat on their sides when they vocalize, and that also helps them just to, you know, get more force going through that throat area. It looks like that battery is dying again. But typically speaking, when they're moving, you know, when they're walking, because there's all sorts of other muscles also working. Yeah, no, guys, I mean, this female has got one of the most beautiful vocalizations that I've heard from a female lion personally. I honestly, it's been the amount of female lions that call as loud as this one does and as long. The ones that I've seen, count on my one hand maybe. So always nice to have such a big beauty to give us a shout. Seems like she might go again. There's a little bit of complaining going there, or just contact calling. It'd be nice if she does it again. But just to come back to when they're moving and vocalizing, you know, then there's all sorts of other muscles also working, the shoulders and the arms and the, you know, the legs and all of those things. So they can't put all of their energy into. There was a half attempt at a contact call. You can also hear, well, I can start hearing the barking geckos going. So that's quite cool. They typically start doing that when it starts cooling down, so that's also a positive for us. Beautiful, beautiful, these little barking geckos, especially with all the clouds in the air. Shame. She's missing someone badly. That was epic. I don't know if you guys noticed while she was vocalizing at the end of every call, you get that rasping sound coming through, but did you maybe see how her throat was actually shaking? You know, that's that last little bit of air just coming through and causing a bit of a vibration. It's actually quite cool to see. Not often that you get to see that. You know, normally when we look at lions vocalizing, it's most of the time the males, or you get females just contact calling for one another, and then they don't call as loud as they do now. But to see the female vocalizing, she doesn't have that mane. You can actually see the effect that it has on her throat or her neck area when that call comes through.
I finally managed to catch up with my giant plated lizard. I was trying very hard before my leave to habituate this lizard to the vehicle, meaning that it doesn't feel the need to run away inside the termite mound every single time. And I was getting there, I really was. And I think it's just a case of continuing to come here, spend a little bit of time. He will hear my voice, he'll hear the engine, he'll hear movements. Isn't he lovely? So we've had a juvenile water monitor lizard, and now we've got a giant plated lizard. And because of their really large size, they're very long. Maybe you can't tell from this angle, but they've also got a really long tail, but really short, stumpy legs. Quite the opposite of the monitor lizard. And normally, in order to sort of move, they slide on their bellies. It's great. It's what I used to do in the snow as a kid. But just going back to that tick, I looked it up. And the one that I was actually referring to is the South African tortoise tick. And the Latin name, are you ready for this? Is Amblyomma marmorenum. And Katie Jane Farm Girl, you suggested Ornithodoros. Now that's a genus, so thank you for that. That's a genus of the soft-bodied ticks, so this tick could absolutely be part of this genus, but the species is Amblyomma marmorenum. And generally people think that ticks only feed on warm-blooded animals, so reptiles like this lizard are cold-blooded, so why would a tick latch onto a reptile? But actually you'll find ticks on mammals, birds, reptiles, and even amphibians. So they don't just go for warm-blooded animals. Maybe certain species specialize, but they don't go for warm-blooded animals. And there's actually a tick that attaches underneath the scales of snakes, underneath that body armor. And there's a specific eyeless tick, some of them are blind, that is actually very host-specific to pythons. And there's a very specialized tick that will only latch on to the speckled padlooper tortoise. So a whole range of reptiles can get ticks. Isn't it fascinating? We see you, little guy. Are you going to stop being so scared when we drive past? Many of you are saying, ooh, I know some people do struggle with ticks, but actually they're really fascinating. They're so important in the ecosystem, and they are vectors of disease, so they can spread disease throughout the animal kingdom, including humans, but they really are fascinating, the way that they live and survive. And wow, I think ticks are great in a very bizarre way. They're obviously arachnids. They're not classified as insects. They've got 8 legs. And they're also a food source. Reptiles, birds, mammals, and amphibians, all these sort of groups of animals that I just mentioned being able to have ticks on them actually eat ticks. And they're full of protein and all sorts of deliciousness. They're also an indicator of ecosystem health. If you start to see many species across the board full of ticks over the sort of normal carrying load, that can be an indicator that the overall health of the ecosystem is not in good shape. And by spreading disease, they obviously help control wildlife populations, weeding out the weaker animals and sort of preventing them from passing on their flawed traits. Natural selection, if you like. The weaker ones go out, so those genes are not passed on. And if you think of life without disease being spread by ticks, in the animal kingdom I'm talking about, certain areas would become completely overrun with animals, and there would be really no control. So as terrible as it sounds, ticks are really important. And I'm sure this little guy here would actually eat ticks if he came across them. This giant plated lizard is omnivorous, so not strictly a carnivore. He will eat insects, he will eat all sorts of creepy crawlies, but he will also supplement with seeds, berries, fruit. Apparently they love figs. We should call them fig. Now we've been here for about 5 minutes now, right, BK? It's just slowly starting that habituation process to see if we can get more and more encounters with the lizard, because the dwarf mongoose business also joined this mound. And you can find the 2 of them together regularly, and it's a wonderful sighting. So just the more time you spend, the more accustomed an animal will get to your presence and know that you're not a threat. And that's exactly what you want. But soon, once that sun really starts to go down, he'll pop into that mound, and that's him for the night. Too cold to move, too dangerous to move. Beach girl, no, unfortunately, they don't change colour, I'm afraid. Chameleons, of course, do. We actually had a look for the resident chameleon just a few minutes ago, but it's not there. But giant plated lizards don't. Their skin is very different and they don't have those specialised chromatophores as chameleons do. The sort of scales that you're seeing is not so much skin. It's designed slightly different, almost square on this animal, and they overlap in one another, and it's acting as a protective armour. Reptiles are very specialised that way, and therefore the chromatophores under the skin do not allow the scales to change colour. But these scales on the side, the darker ones that BK has just shown you now, they're actually smaller and they stretch more. And this is to accommodate fat. Yes, that's to accommodate the belly. If we could all have scales like that. Okay, we really are on our way to the hyena den now.
So we are back here by Tswalu Dam. We lost sight of that elephant bull. However, we have an amazing southern red-billed hornbill here doing something that's really, really amazing. We're here about maybe it's been 5 minutes watching this champ just, hopping around, flicking ups and down elephant dung, buffalo dung, just running around. It's just a beautiful sight. Look at that. So it's just doing that, flicking around, to find insects, ants. At one occasion, I had one that had one of the caterpillar that he was feeding on. And what was really interesting is how he hit the caterpillar on a branch or on a stem. So until it's dead, so it can feed on it. Tom, so my favorite bird is it's actually a very small bird. It's a blue waxbill, very small one. I used to see them a lot when I was heading our livestock back home, and yeah. He just moved off a bit. I'm just gonna try and maybe get a better angle so we view him. Hoping that other animals will come and drink here at Tswalu Dam. There we go. So it's just a matter for him, using the last bit of light, having his last snack. Oh my God! Now it's behind the tree. Again, I'm gonna try and get a better angle. There we go. There we go. You can also see just around him there's lots and lots of elephant dung. Oh my God, it seems like he got something. So one thing that's very, very interesting that I love more about elephant is that yes, they feed on so much of the stuff in our ecosystem, and however, their dung is not really a waste, because to me it's just, I'm not sure if we can zoom even closer, and the termites, I'm sure that's what he's feeding on now. Termite will start decomposing the dung, and that's what this hornbill is feeding on now. Look at that. At one occasion, I had one that was holding this big piece of elephant dung that he was just like running around with it, just like trying to flick it around so he can get to the place where the termites are. Okay, we're just gonna stick around here and watch this beautiful bird feeding and wait here by Leopard Dam, Ndlovu Dam, sorry. Yeah, hoping that we'll see some cool stuff. Yay!
Okay, guys, we just had some action. She went from the one side to the other, flipping over just to get a better side to lie on. But yeah, I mean, we spoke about the blackthorn flowers earlier. There's a lot of color coming back into the bush now. There's a bush called a January bush. Don't ask me why they call it the January bush, because it's flowering in September. But quite a beautiful yellow little shrub that we have around here. There you can see one or two actually. So just also a little bit of flowers coming through on that. There's another one that looks very much like this, and also occasionally yellow flowers, but also white. So it depends on the particular plant, called a dune bush. But yeah, so this one is the January bush. Not a very palatable bush. As you can see, it's quite stringy, quite wiry. But it will provide some, a micro habitat for insects and those types of things to operate in, which will again then provide some food for the birds, the ant-eating chats, and all of those types of birds that we have around here. But yeah, unfortunately, on the lion front, not much action yet, apart from those vocalizations that we had now. We might actually do a little loop and see if there's not something else around, and then come back to her in like 20 minutes or maybe half an hour to try and see if she's woken up then. But definitely Sunday vibes on this side. You can see she's just every now and again keeping her eye on us, squinting at us, but mostly those eyes are closed. But I mean, understandably so. I can imagine she's tired. She's got small cubs that she has to worry about the whole time. So Anushka, very good question. She just asked, do the teats of the lioness only go dark when they're suckling? And no, so the skin of the lion itself is dark by default. Because they've got all that melanin in their skin to protect them from the sun, so the actual teat doesn't grow darker. What does happen, though, is, we spoke earlier about that heat window, that white belly of theirs. So with the cubs now all of a sudden suckling and, fighting for a spot to drink milk, not really fighting, but just competing, around that teat, there's quite a bit of hair loss. Because of the friction, because of the sucking and the constant wear and tear. So you can actually, it is also a bit more damp or moist on the skin there, because they have their mouths around there constantly or whenever they drink. But it becomes more apparent to us just because of the bit of bruising, because of all that, activity that's around the teeth, but mostly also because of that little bit of hair loss, which takes away the white hairs and makes the skin just pop out a little bit more. That's what's creating the darker spots around the teats, which shows us, the suckle marks. But it's naturally that color. We just don't see it when she doesn't have cubs. So, because then she doesn't lose the hair and there's no real bruising on the skin around the teeth.
beautiful to see lioness, and even more better to see the elephant. Now, this is a different herd from what I had before, and it's much bigger, and it has more youngsters or more calves than the herd that I saw earlier, as much as that one had a very small calf. This one, bigger herd. Some of them on one side, they're just crossing the road there. As you can hear them pulling the grass from the ground. Apparently in the background I can hear some hyenas calling. Grant, that's an interesting question. How much would a young baby elephant take every day? I'll tell you, number one, I do not have an idea. And maybe number two, just enough to keep her going for the day. It could be very difficult to know. Because, of course, it will depend maybe one on the mother, the size of the baby, the activity of the baby, how active. We have seen, just like, certain animals, especially cats, for example, looking at the small lion cubs, for example, you get cubs of the same litter, and you might get one or two eating more than the other. You might get one eating more than the other two, for example, if there are three cubs. I would say it could be the same case. I mean, to an elephant calf, just like that one there. And maybe the easiest way to do such a small little test is to find out how heavy the calf would be before maybe she nurses, and how heavy she'll be in the next 24 hours, especially if they're not taking anything solid. It's only liquid. Those buildings you see there in the background, there's a gate there, one of the many gates that enters the very famous Tswalu Game Reserve. So these elephants are coming from a marsh area or a very swampy area where they had spent the day. Chairman, I would say these elephants are the same size. The elephants in East Africa and South Africa, to me, they look the same size. The only difference is, personally, I thought the ones that we have in South Africa are more angular. They are not as rounded. I say the bodies are not as rounded as the ones we have here in East Africa. That could be the only difference, I would think. But size-wise, I would say they're practically the same, including weight. Feeding, reproduction, everything is just the same. But the ones in South Africa, to me, are more angular, and the ones in South Africa, they're more rounded in shapes of their bodies. Maybe one day she'll become the matriarch of this particular herd, as she's the one now leading this group. I just want to move forward just a few meters, and so they can catch them as they uproot the grass. We're going to just move a few meters ahead. It's just wonderful to hear them get the grass out from the ground. And see two of the calves there that are having a bit of a play. Just want to stop right here. Once you read the body language of elephants and you tell they are comfortable, as much as you don't want to occupy or invade their space, you can come pretty close to them and just be quiet. That baby there is pretty young, and the two of them quite playful, maybe similar size to the one we saw before. And in the background, I'm not sure you can see some black dots, or those are Cape buffaloes. You can hear them pulling the grass off the ground. Must be two good friends. Spread it across and just rolling it, playing with it. Not sure they are eating or they are discussing. Do you think this is nutritious? No, put it down. No, eat that one fast. Tell me how it tastes, then I'm going to try it. I'm imagining they have a certain communication going on between the two youngsters there. You can see the mammary glands of that cow there. She looks too big to me. I would doubt this one of the babies or one of the calves here belong to her. Either she's too full or just too big, or she could be pregnant. From the shape I saw on her mammary glands and the size of the belly, I'd be surprised if the smaller calf or the bigger one belongs to her. Because with such a long gestation period, they take, quite some time before committing or before getting pregnant again. They would need to make sure the baby is quite big and independent. You can see how low the clouds have become in the background there when we look at the oral escarpment. To me, this is a sign no more rains now, if anything, until tonight. I'll just wait a few more minutes here for these elephants to give me way so that they can be able to move on.
The hyena dens, I'm afraid, were not active. Silence, radio silence. Not a single peep from anyone. But I think they had something, as far as I'm aware, at the den this morning. So I imagine they're all lying very, very flat somewhere. And, well, they'll probably start to get active very soon. But the size of Ribbon's cubs and Heart's cub, the mothers don't need to visit every single day. And this is something that you actually said to me, BK. I remember one day I sat there watching Corky's cub and I said, oh, BK is so sad, he's pining for his mother and Corky is not coming. And BK said, Lauren, they've got to learn to be strong. They've got to learn the life of a hyena, to be independent. That was you. But it's true, it's really true. The mothers cannot, once they get to a certain stage and they've sort of developed enough, they're not really in any way, shape or form malnutritional, and they're moving, they're mobile, they're aware that they have to stay in the dens. At that point, they do have to learn the life of feast and famine in all seriousness. They have to learn that food will not come every single day. We had a fantastic sighting on the dam cam last night where Falco, I believe, made a live kill. And that just shows hyenas do hunt. They absolutely do hunt. They're predators, but the life of a scavenger is just easier. It's a lazier lifestyle. Let the leopard do the kill for you, spend all that energy, and then you come in and take it. It's the easier lifestyle, but they can hunt. And it was incredible to watch. Thank you to all who sent it to me. And they won't get fed every day, especially in winter. Now, this winter has not been particularly harsh, at least here in the Sabi Sands, but other winters can be very harsh. Summers can be harsh when droughts hit, and most predators need to learn fast that food will not come every day, not like us, 3 meals on the table, and therefore it's very important that they learn that young. And it's true, BK, you were right. So I don't think the adults will be there anytime today. Now, I'm just going to check this junction. This always used to be a very important junction for trucks. Yes, many of you are saying it was an amazing sighting. I think you mean yesterday was incredible. It really, really was something to see. A good welcome back. Theo even said he's never seen that many hyenas in one area before. And we almost got to see the interaction between June than intima, and that would have been really, really telltale on this hierarchy that we're trying to piece together. I'm still convinced that Corky's at the bottom, but we don't entirely know that yet. But sadly, the cubs got very, very active, and I'm sure that Ngwazi stole some of the kill, and therefore we moved the camera. But we almost got to see, if you just spend enough time observing hyenas, watching the greeting ceremonies, where they both sniff one another's genitals, you can tell who's the dominant one and who's the submissive one. And that's where all your answers lie. Hyena genital sniffing. So we're going to bumble back towards quarantine and see what else we can find.
Yeah, hyena is always fun to watch. And I'd say just like the elephant, if the animals that you don't get tired watching are the ellis, because always be doing something. And I want to watch them. I didn't move anywhere because they were all stuck on the road. I think the same herd, same family, quite big family, and half of them on one side of the road. And this baby at one point wanted to cross, then went back to the mother. Reverse gear, four-wheel drive. Maybe that's what she's learning. Being playful, ears out. That's really cute to see. Elephant babies, if they won't give you some good fun, they can. And you'd enjoy everything they do. But by virtue of her swallowing, see, she just went under the mother. Phew! That was cool, eh? You would imagine the weight of the mother, should anything happen, and she lands on that little baby, she'll definitely crush it. But I would imagine the process of doing that, they rub each other, increasing the maternal relationship between the two, the bonding between the two. I guess that's definitely the mother. This one, the very other cow I was watching before, is different. Now, at least they got a small way where I'm sure on the road they can go through to look for some other animals.
Good luck, David. I hope you're enjoying your stint in the Mara this time. We've found some southern giraffe down here in Djuma. Beautiful afternoon light. Very interested in us. Little family of kudu. Not so long ago, it ran across the road. Gave the giraffe a little bit of a fright. And they're trying to figure out what is it that caused the disturbance. Small little family. Had some wonderful scenes yesterday evening with that group of males, and how we found some ladies. They are, Lisa, the envy of everybody, the giraffe's eyelashes. I wish I could do that with my ears. So yeah, can you do that with your ears? They are so a giraffe, so elegant. bothering her. The lighting is just perfect right now. Something's definitely piqued their interests here. Well, that one's going to eat now. Little young knobthorn, it seems. Looks like they want to come closer for a better look. Honey badger just here on the right. Honey badgers, two honey badgers. Oh, you got them there, honey badgers. There we go. That's what, sorry about that, everybody. That's what the giraffe have been so inquisitive about. Are they moving across to the right there? Just going to stay here. They don't know we're here, so they might actually come out and show themselves. Kirsty was about a link away from us there. We got them. There we go. Now, they might come out a little bit more. Ooh, they're running. They're not quite sure what to make. There's an open area just to the right of us here. Okay, now they know they've been spotted. That is what happens when you are patient, watching your giraffe. And you got them. There you go, in the road. Oh, there they go. Come on, guys, come say hi. Oh, and just like that. Let's make a move. Just like that, off they go. So the giraffe definitely were interested in something. Wasn't quite sure what. And right at the end, about a link away, you probably heard me. Honey badgers. Oh, they're going down. There's no way we're going to keep up with them there. They're going through towards the water. Oh, well, that was quite special. I've just gone through that gap over there. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of following, so if they'd walked straight towards us, straight onto our path, and we'd not switched on, they probably would have not known we were there. They would have seen them behaving normally. But they heard the vehicle, they immediately reacted, and off they went. Oh, well, that's just made my absolute week. It's my second last drive. We'll be finishing up tomorrow morning, and then I'll be seeing all of you again in about a month.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, through to the bushes now, we're just losing a herd of buffalo. We look like they might be heading down towards into the airways, like a watering hole. It's quite a big herd, but actually we'll see. Maybe we'll find them again around the corner, because we can't follow them through here. As you can see, it's getting more bushes. Yeah, actually quite a beautiful herd, quite a number, maybe like 100 buffaloes around here. So as you can see, we're losing them completely now. So they all follow each other, calling each other earlier on. So as you can see, it start getting a bit like dark now. So that's why we don't really see much of them. So looks like we're trying to come around. Maybe we'll get another lark to view them. We'll see.
Well, try to get some buffaloes, but if you don't, I have a couple of, I would say, hundreds of buffaloes where I am. And I came out of one roadblock of the elephants, and I have bumped into another roadblock of buffaloes. And apparently they're under 1 kilometer apart, these two huge herbivores. But interestingly, like the buffaloes are going from left to right of where I am, on the road, and the elephants are going the other way, right to left. So it's nowhere the roads are going to crisscross. You can see them there. It's like one huge male just like in the middle of the road. Don't go anywhere, and they'll just wait here. You're having a little play fight there. Yeah, both of them are youngsters, possibly 2 young bulls. And that's what maybe they'll be doing another 3-5 years. By that time, going to be a real fight, because once in a while, you get the big males fighting either for territory when they're out of the main herd, or if they're still within the herd, they'll be fighting for breeding rights. Having cooled off like this, you notice they're more active. Like when you come in the middle of the heat of the day, the buffaloes tend just to slow down and regurgitate chewing cud. Now the temperatures are just fine for them to keep moving before maybe they slow down for the night and restart tomorrow morning. I'll wait to get a small window and see where they can pass to look for something else.
So, alrighty, guys, look at what we found. Or not we. I can't take the credit for this. Remember, I told you earlier we saw the tracks of the pride coming over, and I think they had a kill, which is where that other female had a meal this morning, and we were right. So our other guide, Barry Pizer, he actually tracked these guys, and he found them. It's all 3 the southern pride cubs, the 4-month-old cubs. And then the 2 females and 1 big boy. The big male is just lying behind the tree at the moment, and he's allowing the cubs to eat. But he's not happy when the females come to try and bite, or try and get a bite. It's amazing how much more tolerant they are of their kids than their wives, you know. Yeah, there's still a little bit of moaning going on from the cubs, you know. They still have to tiptoe around the big boy. He is, after all, the biggest and the strongest, and what he says is law. But it's beautiful to see how he allows them to feed. Just before you guys came in, just as we actually came into the sighting, we had the female trying her luck on the kill for a little bit. Yeah, I know, guys. I mean, I'm also very happy to see these little bundles of joy. But yeah, just as we came in, one of the females tried her luck on the kill, and the male got aggressive very quickly. You can see now here on the left, I don't know if you saw the branches moving. The female is just trying to edge closer. Most likely the mom. I know the visual is not great. See, I know she's going to lie down now. But yeah, these little guys, they wouldn't have had meat for very long now. It's difficult to say when they started, or which one was their first meal, but they're still a little hesitant or ignorant as to where to start feeding. You know, I saw one earlier just chewing on the ear. which is quite cute, but I don't think there's a lot of meat or nutrients going on in there. You can see this little guy, he's trying to get that skin off to get there on the chest muscles of the wildebeest. So, Chris, I just asked the question, how far is this alone lioness from the kill, or from this particular pride? Chris, about as the crow would fly, as she would have walked, probably, I want to say, 2.5 kilometers north of where we are now. So not too far away as far as lion standards is concerned. I mean, if they start walking, especially Kalahari lions, they can easily cover up to 40, 50 kilometers in a night. So not very far away. I do think we were very lucky this morning when we initially found her. That must have been just as she left the kill. Look at those little eyes. Oh, shame. But yeah, I'd say about 2.5 kilometers away, directly north of us. These were the lions, the other set of lions. Remember, we heard her calling this morning, and then there was ones that responded to the north, and then we heard another vocalization shortly after, which came from the south, and that was these guys. So, it just shows you how wind direction and, air temperature and those types of things makes a difference. The wind was blowing from the north towards us this morning when we were with that female. So the vocalizations that came from the north, we could hear for much further away just because the wind was carrying it with us. And these guys vocalizing into the wind towards us sounded much further than what we thought initially. But yeah, just cute. I mean, look at how cute those little guys are. And for those of you who joined us yesterday afternoon with those cheetah cubs, you can now see how when we were talking about that thick coat, how these guys also look very fluffy. Much more fluffy than, the female lion that we saw. That one is. But no, that's not eating. Maybe just got a nasty itch or something. Shame.
Yeah, I'm ready for coffee.
Welcome back again. As we promised, we managed to relocate again this buffalo. As you can see, there's coming towards us. As you can see, there's like two younger bulls, and there's another big one far back. He's also coming towards this direction. But the rest of the herd, they can't really see them, but we could hear them moving around. That's why they following each other, spread like this, so they can be able to graze and nicely. They're slowly making their way to the watering hole. It's quite a long way from here. So they, as you know, the buffalo, they water when they can drink twice a day. So now they're gonna go to drink again. Maybe later after that they'll move around in a good area for them to graze, and it must be having a good place for them to rest for the evening, enjoying their chewing their cud. So which is perfect day for them. Later on with the moon coming up, they'll be bright enough for them. They'll have a lovely evening. It seems to be the wind is dropped quite a bit now from there. Earlier on, look at another one coming towards them. This is a cow. Actually, she's coming to join. It's just checking on them. See, where you guys going? Because the rest of them going to opposite direction. It's pretty dry here, but they don't mind. They just eat the grass. For them, so long as they know where they water to drink, they can eat much as they could, because later on they will have a time to chewing their cud. So, as you know, buffaloes, same as the cattle, ruminate. You can see that each one is listening, is looking at us that direction. That you come. Timmy, not really. Buffalo, as soon as they lose their horn, they won't grow back again. They'll be like slightly different from the other horns. If it's one horn broken, one's left, they'll never be the same size. They'll never recover, Timmy. Wow, look at this one. Actually, looked like what happened there. One of the cows, she came around because these two younger bulls, they keep on coming this direction. And the rest of the head, they're actually moving opposite direction. Looks like she's coming to control them, telling them they must move to that direction where the other's going to. As you can see, now they're kind of confused what to do. And then there's another big bull right behind them. So it's a kind of a difficult decision. Yeah, it's a kind of a difficult decision for now, for them. So, as you can see, it starts getting a bit dark for us. Then we'll just carry on and see what we can find along the way.
You guys quickly have a look here. This little guy is getting very curious as to what is going on with us and everything around him. He's given up now on trying to break the skin of that wildebeest, and he's decided he's going to come explore a little bit. I hope that he moves just a bit more so that you guys can see him nicely. But yeah, it's so cute when they're that curious. The other two siblings are still chomping away there on a piece of bone or so. Seems like there's a little bit of meat left. Shame, but the male is really being difficult as far as the mom is concerned. I mean, he's not eating at the moment, and as soon as she moves a muscle to look like she's coming closer to the actual kill, he immediately starts growling and, take control of the kill. Actually quite sad. Yeah, just the cutest little thing. You can see his paw moving. Oh, there we go. It worked with the camera there. And yeah, so as you can see, just being lazy. But as soon as he tries to, or as soon as someone else tries to grab a bite, he immediately turns aggressive. Oh, this is so cool. And I think these three little guys are going to sleep very well tonight. Full bellies. So, Kerry, a good question. Would male lions kill cubs over food? No, they wouldn't. It depends on, like I said this morning or earlier this afternoon also, it depends on the situation. You can never say never in the bush. I haven't seen or heard of cases where a male lion would kill its own cubs around a kill like that. It's very possible that if you find a male coming in, maybe nomadic males coming into this particular kill site and the big boy isn't around, when they want to take over the kill, they will also kill the cubs, just as a matter of cancelling out competition. But as far as a dad killing his own, son or daughter because of competition for food, that wouldn't happen. Well, I can't see it happening. They want their meat, but they don't want it that much. They want their genes to be passed on much more than a bite of flesh. So no, they wouldn't do that. Maybe, if you look way into the future, and let's say some of these males or some of these cubs are males and they become big adult lions, and later on they make a kill, and the father comes over and he, after exiling them, and he comes around and he comes across the kill and they fight, then it will not only be for the rights to the kill, it will also be direct competition by then. Then he doesn't see them as his kids anymore, he sees them as competition for his females. So that could happen, possibly, but when they're small like this and while they're in the pride, as long as he hasn't exiled them, that he won't kill them. Maybe give them a good smack, but not kill or physically, badly injure them.
Thanks. Welcome back to Zoom, everybody, and just thought I won't be seeing you after tomorrow morning for some time, so let's just enjoy another moment with the sky. I know the sun has already set, but another moment in silence. Just listen to the evening sounds.
There's some Nialis.
We've got a tiny young Inyala here. I'm just reversing very, very slowly. It's with Mom. No, don't be scared. I know nighttime's coming. I know. Oh. Your ears are huge, little one. How adorable. I just don't want to scare them or startle them. It is getting to that time of night where Crossing the road in front of us. Just like a mini version of Mom, but cuter. It's a truck. We've got more crossing the road. We've got another youngster about to cross, but it's nowhere near as small. It's like a catwalk of gorgeous models. And Yalas are pregnant for 7.5 months. That's quite a long gestation period. Obviously shorter than humans. And they really do only give birth to one young. I think that youngster was actually very, very young. I'm not sure we'll get another view. Of course, I don't want to scare them. It really is the time of the predators now. I think they're just walking off there. How adorable was that? Now they're probably wandering off into the thicket. A small herd of females. As they walk off into the sunset, we're also going to bumble that way too.
All right, guys, I believe we're looking at a baby nyala. That baby lion decided to come out now. Both of them. There's another one just off to his left-hand side, our right-hand side, which we can't see as well at the moment, but David's going to try and get out on screen. You can just see the tail and the ears flicking around there. But both of them getting really, really curious now. There's still one of the cubs there by the kill, lying next to Dad. Here you can see him. But I'm just very happy that these little ones are actually coming out and presenting themselves to the world. Oh, look at how that light is hitting that male lion's eyes. That's just stunning. Beautiful, beautiful. Unfortunately for the females, I don't think they're gonna actually. There's this other cub now coming a little closer to us. He's actually getting quite curious. Maybe joining. Okay, never mind. I thought he was going to join his brother or sister here on the left, but we'll see. Maybe they'll come. Possibly using that little bit of grass as a cover for, a little bit of a safe spot. And yeah, unfortunately, guys, I don't think the moms or the females, adult females now, will be allowed to get a bite of this as long as this big boy is over here. He's quite the jealous guy. Oh, they're just beautiful. Okay, guys, Tony just had a question. How long would this kill last them? Tony, unfortunately, not very long. I don't think they'll be here or still have meat on it in the morning. If we're lucky, maybe. But okay, so that's an adult male blue wildebeest that they caught. And as we saw this morning, that other female had already eaten on it. And now with this male joining, I don't know if he's had much to eat from it, but he would have taken his share. When a male lion sits down and he's really hungry, let's say he hasn't eaten for 2 days, when he sits down, he can eat up to 40 kilograms of meat in a single swing. So that makes a big dent in a blue wildebeest very quickly. And now, obviously, the cubs are constantly eating, and when the male has had his fill, he will allow the females to actually go and grab a bite. So with that being the case, I do think they'll actually finish this kill during the night. We might get lucky and see bits and pieces of it still being left tomorrow morning. But for 3 adult lions, if they all 3 fill their bellies, that's going to be over 100, well, let's say 100 kilograms of meat that they eat, which is about, I want to say, more or less the weight of meat that you'll have on this blue wildebeest. So not long. I mean, if it was a buffalo or something like that, it would go for 2-3 days, maybe 4. But with a blue wildebeest, they're 3 times smaller than a buffalo. So not long that it would last them. However, it is a very good meal. And guys, we're going to see you all tomorrow morning. You must have a beautiful evening. And then we'll see what the morning has to offer.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.